Hey everybody, Todd Liles here with Service Excellence Training. Wanted to come to you live here, and the topic that I want to talk to you about is cheap HVAC internet prices. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the companies online, and there are a bunch of them now, that are selling their air conditioning equipment directly to consumer. Now, I say directly to consumer, they still may be going through a third party, but from the consumer's perspective, they're able to buy the equipment very cheaply online. I'm sure that you've experienced this yourself. Now, I don't want to talk about just that company. I also want to talk about the companies that sell their replacement prices for so little, the 4,200, the 5,900, that you find yourself going, how in the heck are they doing that, and how are they staying in business? All right, so we're going to talk about this for a very distinct reason, which is you as a value-based representative of the HVAC world, you're going to get faced with these questions, you're going to get faced with these obstacles, you're going to get faced with these objections from consumers wanting to know why your price is twice as much and why they should choose you. Now here's the thing, some of these lessons are lessons that happen from wisdom, which means that the consumer may not realize the full impact of buying the cheap price until a time frame when it's far too late. But we're going to talk about it anyway, because the more information that you are armed with, the better off you're going to be at resolving those issues. All right? Hang on a second. Let me put this in Do Not Disturb. All right, by the way, if you've faced this challenge before, I want you to let me know. We're going to go for about 10 to 15 minutes here. I want to hear from you. Okay, so right now I typed in buy a 16 SEER air conditioning into my Google search bar. Simple search, right? And when I type that in, I see a list of prices that pop up, very similar to what your client might do if they're right here in hand and they do the same thing. They go in here and they search, buy an air conditioning system. Let me see if I can show you that. There you go, right? Let's see. You're probably seeing the screen there along with a book that I was reading. So buy a 16 SEER air conditioning system. Here is a condenser. First of all, your client may not even realize that that's just part of it. Here's a condenser for $1,300. Another condenser for $1,500. Here's a condenser and an air handler for $3,100. Here's a condenser for $1,900. Let's just click over here. And as we kind of go through here and take a look, there are a number of companies that are advertising this direct sale. Here's a Rheem, $2,500. You guys get the point. There are people that are selling these. Here's a Train, XR16 for $5,800. Free shipping, no tax. So let me click back over here now. All right, and go back to this. They're going to get these prices online. Now, Train, $5,890. Maybe you're selling the Train product. Your cost may be a little lower than that, but there's a cost out there. They're looking at your price, whatever your price is. Let's say it's coming in at $12,000, $14,000. They see this and they don't understand why they shouldn't just buy that equipment and have it sent over to you, and then you put it in. Can become a challenge, can it? What's even worse is I'm thinking of a particular company right now that has been in some of the Texas marketplaces where they advertise a total about that price for a 16 SEER system, and you sit here and you think to yourself, how are they doing that? How are they making money at those prices? And the interesting thing is that a lot of times these companies aren't. And these companies are so poor at business that they don't even realize that they are also not making money. They do a lot of installs. Some of them may even be fairly quality installs. But the companies are so disorganized, they don't realize that they're not making money because they don't have proper books in place. And I'm thinking very specifically of a company in the marketplace here that this happened to. I won't call them by name, but literally they look up one day and they're owing millions and millions of dollars to the IRS. They're owing millions of dollars to distributors, and they didn't realize it because they never understood business in the first place. And that's the first thing that you, as a representative of your company, must understand. Your prices are what they are if you're working for a good company because someone understands business. Someone understands that in order to serve clients, provide guarantees, warranties, to get good people to represent the company, to market them into growth, they've got to set their prices at such a level that when the end of the year finals out, they can make a double-digit reasonable profit. Double-digit is huge, right? That's anywhere from 10 to 99. In case you're curious, the most premier, most successful companies can achieve really 25%, and that's killing it, and that's very, very, very rare. It's far more common that companies are going to be somewhere between that 15 to 10% range, and even them we would count as doing well. But in that 15 to, so let's say 18 to 13% range, if a company is buying an air conditioning system and their hard costs are $4,000 and they're selling them for $6,000, I can guarantee they don't understand business. And I can guarantee you that that customer might get a good buy today, but there's something that's going to suffer in the long run. It could be the install today, which is going to lead to destruction down the road. Or it could be that that company has to file bankruptcy and close their doors, and all these promises that they bought disappear. There's going to be a problem. There's going to be a problem. What you have to do as an advisor is educate the client as to why they want a profitable company, a company that's going to be around to serve the product they install for a long time. Think about it kind of like this. Apple, right? I bet a lot of you guys probably have Apple products. This phone, I don't remember the exact price, but I think it was about $1,200. Now, $1,200 is no small expense for a phone. As a matter of fact, I'd be willing to bet that most of your consumers out there are spending more money in phones and phones replacements in reality over time than they will on their next home comfort system that will last substantially longer. Oftentimes people upgrade these every year to every 2 years. They get into a contract, there's service fees on that. So they end up putting in a lot of money into these phones. If you were a consumer, how would you feel if you bought an Apple phone, right? And all the ideas that the phone's going to work, and then 2 years later, Apple closes their doors. Yes, Apple's profitable. They're worth over $1 trillion in the public marketplace. Yes, they charge a lot of money for their products. And at the end of the day, people still buy them in droves because they understand the service they receive. Apple's done an amazing job of setting themselves apart. That's what you have to do. You have to do an amazing job of setting yourself apart and realizing that your value isn't based on being the lowest price. Price is part of the equation, but your value is going to be based upon what you as a company provide to this client over the long term and the benefits they're going to receive, and that's the gap you got to close. Are you still going to face some consumers that they're only price sensitive? Yes, you are. Those aren't your clients. You'll find those that are wise and those that you can educate and that will listen to wisdom. Those are your clients. And get used to it and get skilled at it, because this is only going to become more and more of a daily obstacle that you're going to face. But you will be able to overcome it. And practice, good practice, will help you. All right. Talk to me, guys. Let me see if I can see your comments here. Have you had this challenge yourself in the field? I'm looking to see if I can see any comments popping up. I'm not sure if you guys are commenting or if my system's just not showing me comments. So I'm going to also log into Facebook. Let's see, if you're on here and you've ever faced this, pop in the comments a simple yes, just so I can see if the comments are feeding through, please. And if you like the information that you've heard here, give me a thumbs up as well. Have you ever faced this problem in the field, yes or no? And if you have, what's been something that you were able to do to help overcome it? All right, that's going to be a question that you can answer. All right, so the comments are working. I see Arthur said yes, or maybe it's James. Arthur or James, thanks, brother. Were you able to resolve it when you were in the field? Were you able to overcome the objection, or did you feel like you didn't have a good answer to it? So, James, how'd that go for you, man? Were you able to overcome the objection in the field, or was it one that you lost the sale on? going to listen for your answer. Yes, you were able to overcome it in the field. That's great, man. How did you do that? What was the thing that you did, James? Type that up, and while you're doing that, Travis, how do you feel about different terms for common parts? And then we got Eldon coming on here too. So Eldon, we'll talk to you in a second. So Travis, how do you feel about different terms for common parts? I know exactly how you mean about that. In essence, do I think that taking a contactor and renaming it something different enough to the point that a person can't Google search it, do I think that is an effective method? So here's how I feel about that. It's not necessarily ineffective, but I'm a pretty straightforward individual. And the idea of trying to call something by a name that it's not for the purpose of preventing a homeowner from researching that later, I think that what you're going to find is that in the long run, that's really not going to serve you well. Let me give you an instance. If I'm a homeowner that's price sensitive, and I'm going to be a person that's going to do this Google search thing, and you name your part something that can't initially be found on a quick Google search, but I'm still a curious type mind. And then later I go and I start Google searching it, and I realize that your fancily named widget is a capacitor or contactor, and then I see the price. Well, I'm going to share with you that's going to end up online. That's going to end up in Google reviews, and it won't be very long until those fancy named, widgets are now searchable. And when they're searchable with warnings. I'd be willing to bet if we just did that now, we're probably going to find these uncommon names for common parts indexed on some scam page. The internet's smart, man. And the internet hates being tricked. It hates it. And when the internet realizes that it's been tricked, it just makes your life miserable. I'm getting tons of thumbs up for that. So my answer to you is real simple. It's just be straightforward with people and build your value off directness. I was talking to a client the other day in our business, and they asked me the question, would we train their competition in the marketplace? Perfectly reasonable question. They compared that question because they were looking at some potential other, folks that won't train them in the marketplace. They won't train their competition except for a set of rules, so many and so much of a space sort of thing. My answer to this person was, yes, we'll train your competition in the marketplace. As a company, we're here to help other companies. I'm not here to sell you a training agreement, and I'm not going to help your neighbor across the street. We don't siphon people off by are they your competitor. We try our best not to train people that take tools. We have tools, right? Like with a hammer you can build a house, but with a hammer you can break windows. The way that we decide who we're not going to do business with is, are they house builders? We'll do business with them. Are they window breakers? We don't want to do business with them. But if they're your neighbor, of course we'll do business with them, and it'll just help your business be better. So I own that. That's kind of I don't know if I like that if I'm the person that's listening, but I always believe in directness. And I believe people can find out and can smell a little bit of bull crap. So I hope that answers your question. All right, let's see. Rick, so lowest price wins regardless of quality is my rebuttal. So lowest price wins regardless of quality, question mark, is my rebuttal. I'm not exactly sure the full breadth of your question there, so maybe help me clarify it a little bit. But one of the responses that I like, it's in a book in here by Zig Ziglar. I love this response. If you want to talk about lowest price, is you can say the following. This is a classic Zig Ziglar close. Something along the lines of, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, this is what I found with people that paid the lowest price. They're rich. You pause. Your homeowner's going to look at you funny. And they might ask, well, what do you mean? Or why do you say that? And you say, here's the simple reason why I say that. Mrs. Smith, what we have found is that the people that are rich can afford to pay the lowest price because they see things like commodities. They're not going to keep it very long. They're going to use it for a very short period of time, then they're going to throw it away. So they're just constantly replacing it, and in a very small period of time, they've spent excessively more money than if they were just to do it right. With us, we're using quality components. More importantly, you're getting a quality install which means it's going to be done right the first time. You're going to get a great guarantee and warranty, which means it's going to last this period of time that I'm promising you, plus more, which means the price you pay today is the price. It's not this one and then another service trip and then another service trip and another service trip. So yes, people can pay the lowest price if they want to, but typically those are the people that don't care about their money today or the money in the long run because they got plenty of it. Those that want to get the most out of their money typically go for quality, and that's typically more. So I hope that helps. Let me look back here. There's been quite a few comments, and I'm just going to pop on. Daniel, haven't fought the objection directly, but been there several times that I have heard back from customers that they decided to take my bid, which was higher than some others because I did a thorough system inspection on the cell, call, and made recommendations for duct improvements, etc. So essentially you're saying you proved value by doing something that an expert can do, right? So it's like, are you going to self-diagnose and buy your drugs through some, black online portal, which you could do? I imagine if you went onto the black market of the internet, you could buy any drug on the planet. But I mean, I wouldn't do that because I think it takes a certain level of stupid to self-diagnose and then to buy drugs off the black market. And I think that same level of stupid happens with air conditioning purchases. That's just me. So and I guess I'm just making a general comment about people that buy those type of products online, but I don't know that they know that they're doing that. And I think you got to educate them. And by the way, that might be a little bit blunt. You find a way to communicate however you want to communicate to your client. That's a bad decision. But here's another little quote that you can hang on to, which is the following. Sometimes the risk of insult is the price of clarity, which is to say you might insult somebody in the purpose of being clear. It's not in the purpose of wanting to harm them or hurt them, but it's to make sure they understand. And sometimes when people really understand, what they understand is that they're doing something stupid. All right. Is it smart to post common part prices on your website? George, Brazil does, and they're massive. Okay, good question, Travis. Another great question. That's been a subject of contention for a very long time. I've been in this since the internet was relatively new, and I've been in meetings where really smart people sat around and talked about should we post our prices, and at those early stages of the meetings there wasn't a consensus on it. So without a consensus, it wasn't done. So I go back to this core concept again about being transparent but also being strategically smart. So let's talk about where George Brazil is in their business. Great company, been around forever. George Brazil is in a position where their reputation precedes them. They've got a great reputation as far as I'm aware. They've been doing it a long time and they have big market share. When you get to a certain size, your prices have probably been out there long enough. You've asked for referrals. That's one of the first things people ask. At a certain size, prices just become what they are and people kind of accept them. It would be like going on to Apple and not seeing their prices. That would be weird and that would make you suspicious. It would be like going to a car dealership and not being able to search the lot and not seeing their prices. That would be weird and that would be suspicious. Now what I tell you is that I don't have any hard facts on how it works for a company like George Brazil that's reached a certain size and putting their prices out there to kind of serve as a client filter versus how it would work for a brand new startup that doesn't have that reputation, that doesn't have those expectations from a client that they're going to do a great job, because a lot of that value building has to be done with the person in front of them. My gut, and by the way, I wouldn't take this necessarily as how I would make the decision here. I'd want to do research. And I would want to come up with a hard answer based off research. But what my gut tells me is that if you haven't been in business for a very long time and you don't have the reputation established yet, I would give prices, but it would be based off the first level of service, diagnostic service fees, tune-ups, those type of things. And I would have well-trained service advisors give the other prices when they're there face-to-face. And I think you need to do that for a period of time until your reputation preceded you. And I don't think that's on the same level of renaming a contact or something else. I think that's different. Hope that answers your question. But as in all business decisions, if you're actually thinking about making a hard business decision, do research first. Don't go into it blindly. Talk to someone that's done it before. All right. Eldon, I think it's crazy to post system prices. Don't really know about parts. Yeah, we kind of touched based on that, so kind of I think we're a little bit there on the same page. Okay, guys, great connections today. I hope you found value here. I like jumping in here and doing these every now and then. I know this is a very particular hot topic. I want you to do me a favor, okay? I want you to post what you'd like to hear in the future in the comments. Next week, how about we do another one, okay? Post what you'd like to see in the comments. I also want you to share this, because when you share it, you know what that does? That's like free advertisement for service excellence training. And we are here to radically transform your lives. Another way we say that is return learning into earning. So I want you to click the share button. I want you to click the like button. I want you to tell someone about us, because that share is valuable to us, and we thank you for that. All right, that's it. If you ever want any help, reach out to us. We do training in the classroom. We do training online. We can even come to you if you're looking to turn learning into earning. All right, have a wonderful week. Talk to you soon.